on, everybody? Welcome back to United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean. We are back with a Man United News Roundup. Hope you guys are having a good week so far. We got a lot of news to cover today. I guess not a lot, but we can talk a lot about what we have, and that's what we're doing today. So we're going to jump in on that. We got a little bit to talk about Hojlund. We're going to talk about some big fees being reported for some players that we've been linked with the wild players that we've scouted. We've got a couple new links to some youngsters as well. We'll go into a deep dive analysis of those two players so you guys get a good idea of what they're all about, what they could bring to the table. So we're going to do that as well. So get stuck in, you guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscription button. If you guys are new, apologies ahead of time if I'm a little off today. A little sick. My wife got back from England. She brought some fun photos to look at. She brought some goodies to snack on, and she also brought a bad cold. So I have that as well, but it's not a big deal. It happens, but we're going to see how it goes. But just ahead of time, just a bit of a heads up, there might not be a kickabout tomorrow night if this doesn't get much better. So I'm using today as a little bit of a guinea pig of a stream. So bear with me. I've got tea. I've got Dayquil. We're going to muscle through. So let's get stuck in, you guys. Let me see who's involved in the chat. Lucky Singh's in the house. Big up, man. He wants some mentality, some quickness. He wants running a little bit from his players. Big up, Lucky. Good to see you again. Roman in the house. Says Wharton is a must. Yeah. Wharton, you guys know, is probably my top target. You guys know, and Hayden Hackney, you guys know we're on permanent Hayden Hackney watch. If you follow the channel, if you check the post section, the community section, I'm constantly posting Hayden Hackney watch. He just had a man of the match performance this past weekend. Excellent midfielder. You guys know we are permanent Hayden Hackney watch here on United vs. Everybody. Rob Taff in the house. Yes, guys, hit that like button, subscribe for me. Check the memberships too. There's lots of ways to get involved in the channel and all that. It's typically funneled through the memberships. There's a special community post for your suggestions for scouting reports and whatnot on there as well. And Legends members can even join in on the weekly kickabout virtually if they want to get involved in the chat. So just something to keep in mind. Some people want to do super chats. Some people want to commit to the membership. Some people want to go help out the channel by jumping on the United vs. Everybody store and checking out some one-of-a-kind gear there. There's lots of ways you can get more involved. It all helps the channel grow. Again, never any pressure, but it's always nice to see everybody getting involved. Roman says, next season, we should be challenging for the title, and I expect us to finish top 4. It's throwing down the gauntlet. And you remember, Dylan and I did a prediction. Dylan and I might have to do a revised, looking back on our summer prediction video, and do a revision maybe. We'll see. Does that sound like something you guys might want to do? Kind of go back and revisiting our season prediction when the transfer window ended? Because I think I predicted us maybe like 8th or 9th even. But we'll see. I'm not trying to gas it up too quickly. We don't want to turn into Arsenal fans who are celebrating in, November when they're top of the table. We've seen this movie before, Arsenal fans. This is why I never worry about Arsenal. I just don't. We've seen City sandbag to start the season, come back and win. We've seen Arsenal completely bottle it. I'm never, ever worried about Arsenal. So Darko's in the house. Big up, Darko. Good to see you again. Hope you guys are doing well. Rob doesn't think you're going to spend $100 million on any single player. I agree in the sense that I don't think we're there yet in terms of, rebuilding. I think getting that $100 million player is two times I see that happening. 2 times I'd be fine with it. It's like it's like that cherry on the top of the icing kind of signing, like Cantona coming in and kind of filling that out, that kind of thing. Or when it's the one and only opportunity for a club to get a player that maybe is top of their list or something that is key to their rebuild or whatever you want to call it, then I can see it sometimes happen. It doesn't mean I like it. You guys know I'm always going to opt for, lesser known players, but it's hard. I don't think any of these players are worth $100 million personally, but it's not up to me, is it? Market is another word for just human behavior, right? A market, it's like VAR. We like to say VAR like it's this non-entity, this non-human. VAR is a person. Market is a collection of people and the way they're behaving as consumers. So whether it's the housing market or Black Friday or whatever, there's a reason things fluctuate and go up and down, because people go all over the place. So, but I hear you. I totally hear you. First and foremost, though, before we get stuck in, just thoughts and prayers going out to Reece Bennett, one of our academy players, young defender. He did lose his father this week. Poor kid, man. Poor family. His father actually took his own life, I read. So it's devastating news. I'm absolutely gutted for Reece Bennett and his family. Hope that they are just holding strong. He's been given compassionate leave by the club. But yes, thoughts and prayers out for Reece Bennett, because that is absolutely horrific to go through. Can't imagine what the kid's going through right now. So hopefully he's got resources. Hopefully he's got good people around him. And just in this time, it's hard to pull together and find strength. But, with more people just coming together, that load can feel a little lighter. So it is unfortunate, though. Unfortunate. So Sanchi's back in the house. Big up, Sanchi. Hope you're doing well, man. It's been a minute. So what is a bigger risk? 100 million player or two players so you're saying 250 million players? It's a loaded question because there's so much. It just depends on the players, right? You can spend 100 million on like Harry Kane, like we were thinking about doing maybe 3 years ago, and you would say that that's super low risk at the time. Premier League striker, one of the best strikers, low risk, right? Not a whole lot of unknowns there. But you can also do that with any other player. You never know how a signing is going to work out, right? You just don't. Unfortunately, it all depends on the player. That's where your analysis comes in play. That's where your data team, your scouts, your recruitment staff, that's where all that comes into play. And then they've got to look even at the intangibles too. Attitude and things. I think we missed the mark there with Sancho. Injury history. I think we missed the mark there with Mason Mount. It's hard to know if and how a player is going to adapt to a change in league. Oddly enough, on that subject, hanging out with Bill, hanging out with Justin the other night, and we were just kind of shooting the breeze. We were watching El Clasico, and then we all hung out, and we were kind of talking. Remember what I've asked you guys before? I want to hire somebody to come up with an algorithm that kind of measures, and compares and converts basically goals from between top leagues. Like how much is a goal in the Premier League worth compared to a goal in the Bundesliga? Now we actually jumped on Chat GTP for a hot second and did that. And interestingly enough, it had some fun things to say. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to look it up real quick. But it was like goals in the Bundesliga, I think, were worth less than a goal in the Premier League. And I think it said goals in La Liga were worth just a little bit more, and we asked it to look at like the last 5 seasons, because again, there's no point looking at like 20 years ago. It's not relevant now if you're trying to assess a signing. But yes, it was interesting enough. No, actually, so yeah, it was interesting. I think that the difference, the 0.01% is not, it's not significant enough to me to really make a big difference. At most, it means like a player who scored 100 goals in the last couple of years, not getting realistic, but just saying that's like what 5 goals left. It doesn't really make a difference over time, but it is interesting to think about. But yeah, it's a loaded question, Sanchi. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I think that it's just it depends kind of answer. I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for. I'm really not good with either or answers. That's why I'm horrible when it comes to like the Myers-Briggs. If everyone's ever taken the MBTI, I can't do that because my answer is always it depends. What's your favorite color? Well, it depends, right? We're talking about walls. We're talking about cars. Like, I don't know, but we'll see. Yes, Rob, top man. Yeah, family first. Prayers go out to him. Big up, Jarvis. Hope you're doing well, man. So like I said, bear with me, guys. It's a little sick, so we're trying to muscle through it today. Bexy, welcome. Casemiro keeps it up. United can challenge for the title this season. Bexy is going hard in the paint. I like the optimism. I'm not going to lie. When I'm feeling frisky, I will toss out the 21 is coming here and there. Jim, big up, Jim. Welcome back. Yeah, Arsenal, I never worry about. Liverpool, who knows what's going on with Liverpool. I've already seen rumors that Arne Slot's under threat. I don't believe it, but it's just funny. Roman says, Sean, your opinion on those strange Neville comments. I'm trying to remember exactly what Gary Neville said. Something about like he's not doing enough or something. And I think that I said something, I guess some people could construe it as similar when I said he wasn't really getting a whole lot of touches. I guess that's different than he's not doing, because I never thought he's not doing enough. He just wasn't getting as many touches to start that half of that match against Brighton. But again, it's what he does to bring in everyone else around him. He's constantly a threat. He's winning aerial duels. His link up play was really good. Obviously, he got the assist as well. And I've talked about Gary Neville a couple times throughout this channel's kind of history, short history, by the way. I always forget. We haven't been doing this that long, but I think he tries a little too hard to not look like a United fan when he's doing commentary or punditry, and I think that sometimes can come across like comments like these, maybe like an overcompensation where he's almost being a little. It's like when you dig in a road test, you're like you could be doing everything perfectly, but your instructor just always has to find something to kind of nitpick about. I think that's where Gary Neville kind of reminds me of. And because I don't see the issue with being a United fan as a former player and as a pundit. I mean, nobody else cares. I mean, Jamie Carragher just goes nuts whenever Liverpool do anything. I don't know. I mean, Micah Richards. I don't know what Micah Richards is on about. I don't think anyone even remembers Micah Richards all that much. But so I don't. I could sit here and say I don't agree with it. I don't know if it's deserving of all the hate that he's getting. I mean, I've seen pundits do a lot worse and get far less hate than I think Gary Neville gets, but I think it is what it is. I think this is maybe Gary Neville's reputation kind of preceding him in a lot of ways. But now, what are your thoughts, guys? What do you think about Gary Neville's comments recently? Is he just looking for things to criticize? Does he need to just maybe lighten up a little bit and just kind of enjoy the ride like everyone else? I don't know. Hopefully. Sanchi says, thank you for remembering me. Means a lot. I work crazy. Hey, man, I try to remember everybody I can now. It's different now because YouTube has changed a little bit because I don't see everyone's like nicknames now. Now I see all of your ats. And so some of the ats are different than your names are usually. So I might not, but I do remember you, Sanchi. Big up, man. It's good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Trevor says, we're not spending 100 million. Most likely Gallagher comes in on loan with an option, and that's it until we know about Cass and Bruno. Yeah, I did a little deep dive earlier in the week on Conor Gallagher because the rumors just won't go away. And so that popped up early. I want to say Sunday morning. Was that Sunday that popped up? I can't remember now. Could have been Saturday. Did a little deep dive, player profile, what he was like at Palace, Chelsea, at what's he doing at Atletico Madrid, strengths, weaknesses, how he'd fit in, all that kind of stuff. You can go check that out if you want to learn. Again, it's just a matter of, would it be a good fit? And you guys know, for me, context is key. Give you some more information, let you guys decide. Would he be my first choice? Probably not. Do I like a lot of what he does bring in terms of fight, leadership, that resilience, that mentality? Yeah, I do like it. But does he improve us? That's the question. So you guys can go ahead and watch that and come up to your own conclusions. Hey, Stephanie, welcome back. Playing for England doesn't justify these stupid transfer fees. Yeah, I mean, obviously, and we'll talk about this in a second. We haven't even started with the news. We're just chatting away right now. Obviously, transfer fees are always going to be a little inflated. If you go look up some of these players on like Transfer Market or something, they're not going to be anywhere near what the clubs don't want to sell. So they're going to, they're not going to price it to a point where people are going to come in and just do whatever they want. Crystal Palace, especially, Forest, these guys, Brighton, they're going that's part of what they are as a club. Brighton especially, they are a bit of a flipper club. They are a bit of a selling club. You see it at Ajax, at PSV, at Dortmund. We saw it at Southampton for the longest time. How many Southampton players have we brought even just to United alone? What we got? Schneiderlin, Luke Shaw, remember Nathaniel Klein, Sadio Mane. That's just what clubs do sometimes. So, but I don't think there's hardly anybody that I would pay 100 million for. I would come close to Adam Wharton, though, because Adam Wharton is the truth. But thank you, Stephanie, for the chat. Rob says, I think we need few midfielders to prepare for Casemiro going, and maybe one more. Plus, we are one short and need a center back as well. I'm holding judgment on the center back personally, just me, to see what happens with Licha and then Shaw and then Maguire, because those are potentially three center backs that we could just be without next season, either through injury or because Maguire might leave for free. And then we're in a bit of a situation. But we've needed center midfielders for a long time. We don't tend to do well. I think the last time we really went hard for center midfielders is when we got Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin in the same summer under Louis van Gaal. And then I think we got Ander Herrera around either a year or two around that as well, if I remember correctly. Hasn't and since then it's been hit or miss with like the Freds, the Pogbas. I love Nemanja Matic. Some people weren't a fan. I like Nemanja Matic. But so I've always thought we could have done better to really focus on that in the given summer. Instead, it kind of always seems to be the next. It's like a kick in the can down the road, kind of a priority for us, which I don't get because it is an important position. Maybe now in this system it'll be a little bit more of a priority because it is so midfielder reliant. So Roman says, what's it. He's that desperate to look unbiased that he looks biased. Yeah, I think maybe he's just going a little too hard sometimes. It's like when you're steering a boat. If you ever, in a boat, like a speedboat, it's got to, you have to do subtle little movements. If you steer it like you're steering a car, it's going to go everywhere. It's just subtle little movements. Let the boat kind of do its thing, and then you can kind of just little taps in there. I think Neville just does that, and then everyone's tumbling around all over the place. So Stephanie doesn't listen to pundits anymore. I listen to what they say. I don't take it as any sort of gospel. Most of the time, we just comment on what they say. Jarvis is, Jarvis, you probably, I know you've got a history of like production and stuff. I have zero. I'm the guy who I don't even like more than one tab open on my computer. It took me a while just to figure out how to get YouTube, like a channel up and running. What you see is basically what you get from me in terms of technology and whatnot. If I can get a graphic to work, then I consider that a personal victory. So, but it does seem like, Jarvis, it is getting more and more difficult to get noticed. I don't know what the point of the hype thing was personally. Maybe you know more than me, but that is the way now. That it seems to be the way that YouTube is pushing to get smaller channels out there. Is you go back like 24 hours after a video is done on your phone. Apparently you can't do it on the computer, and then you have to swipe left and find the hype thing. I don't understand how it is, and I'll never pressure you guys to do it. But again, it's just one of those things. If you want to help the channel out, it takes a couple seconds and it's free. Go ahead and hype a couple of videos. I think you get like 3 a week. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rob says Atletico had a couple kickings. Yeah, I think they just got a win yesterday, didn't they, on the road? Yeah, Diogo Simeone's side. It's always going to be an up and down kind of a thing for them. I think they have a good squad. They have really, really good players. I think it might be, for me, a situation where perhaps Diego Simeone's maybe coming to the end of the cycle there, and maybe it's time for them to just kind of. He's been there a long time, but we'll see. Roman says, no hate for Gary. He just has way higher standards. He played with Cantona, Cole, Rude, and Ronaldo. No, I totally get it. High standards. I just don't. I think sometimes, and maybe it's going to sound kind of arrogant on my part, I think sometimes some of these guys from like the class of 92, I think sometimes some of their analysis is a bit of an oversimplification. I think that they're not adding, I don't think they're considering a lot of context. I think that they think strikers like Šeško just constantly be getting the ball. Well, that might not be his role in a given situation on the pitch or against a certain opposition, kind of a thing. It wasn't even playing against Liverpool. There was a reason for that. And I think that sometimes it's just, there's more to it as far as like tactical stuff goes than just have a go at them. Like, I think they just there's a little bit more to it than that, I guess. Darko says, who would I blame for the Ugarte signing? Fans? Well, I don't know how we can blame fans. The fans have nothing to do with it personally. He's not as well-rounded as I think a lot of us would like, but I don't think he's a bad player. I just think we can do better. If he were 20 million like cheaper when we got him, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. We probably overpaid for him personally, and that's on the club in terms of whoever's in charge of negotiating and whatnot. That's not on Ten Hag. Ten Hag doesn't decide the price tag, right? Even with Anthony, Ten Hag had nothing to do with that. Now, talent identification is another thing that I do blame Ten Hag for. But Jim says, I think Gallagher is better than some players we purchased. Yeah, he's definitely better. The question is, does he improve us now? In January, I do think we need to strengthen January. I don't think we can afford to take our foot off the gas. We have to keep going. It's not even just about backing Amorim. It's like we're actually doing better than a lot of people thought. We don't want to let our foot up. We don't want to let that slip. Let's keep going. You definitely want to strengthen when you're in a position of strength, when you're on the up. And so I do think we need to make sure that we are taking the initiative, that we're already looking around and trying to get deals. I mean, we did go for Gallagher, a late move on loan in the summer, but Atletico would have preferred a permanent sale. Bexy thinks Manu and Ugarte will go if they don't improve. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about Manu in terms of just how he plays. He's young, and I think he will get better. The question is he going to pull an Angel Gomez and just want to leave because he wants to go play, or would he rather stay and kind of fight and develop? It's up to him, honestly, at this point. So, Rob says, I think it's Romano putting all these transfer stories out so he has something to talk about. Yeah. I don't know what Romano talks about when transfer window is over. I don't really listen to him anymore once the transfer window ends, personally. Darko says, fans demanded we sign Sancho and Ugarte. I was a fan who didn't think we needed Sancho necessarily. I thought that we had other priorities at that time because we had already signed. We already had Dan James. We already had Palestri, we had Ahmad as well. I did not think we needed to go and sign Sancho at the time. So it is what it is. And fans can demand it, Darko. I mean, it is what it is, but I don't think that has any influence on the club personally. I don't. Do you really think the Glazers care what fans think? Rob says, I think it's Romano. Oh, you already read that one. My bad. Roman says, if you have a consistent video uploading schedule like twice or thrice a week, I like when people use the word thrice. It makes me feel good. You get recommended. The algorithm will notice and try to push your videos if they see consistency. I try. When it's news related like today, I try to wait until there is news. I don't like to just regurgitate the same stuff I've already spoken about. I have too much respect for y'all to do that. I think I'd rather wait until there's a healthy amount of news to talk about, and then we can have a good discussion about it. I don't always post every single day, but I try to get a variety of stuff out there, whether it's stuff like the Conor Gallagher or the replacement videos for guys like Licha or Bruno if and when they leave, or the What If episodes. So keep an eye out for the next season of that. I'll try to get that uploaded before Dylan and I go over there in January or in December, so you guys have some more stuff to watch. So I try to do a little bit of variety. The scouting report, you guys know I love a scouting report. I've got another one popping up later on this week, hopefully, if I'm feeling better. Rob says, I think it's a few cheaper options in January to get them. And I did do a video as well a couple weeks ago on January deals as well for United. They have something to do with like table position potentially, and contract situation and league off season. So there are a couple deals in there January that will work out. So go check that one out. Let's talk about some transfer news, though, because we have not even gotten started, you guys. So it's been reported by Fabrizio Romano, as we were just talking about, that Napoli are expediting the option to buy Rasmus Hojlund. I remember they got him this summer with an option to buy. Normally, they'd wait till the end of the year, but according to Romano, they've already seen enough of Hojlund to say, we want to go ahead and exercise this. He says the expectation of everyone involved is that Napoli will trigger the 44 million euro buy clause for Rasmus Hojlund in the next few months. I think that's roughly 38 million pounds. If someone wants to correct me, let me know. Romano asserts that could happen very, very soon. Let me put this up here like this. Sounds like they already know they want to keep him. Obviously, we probably overpaid for Rasmus Hojlund, in my opinion. I did like the look of him. He should have never been the first striker. He should never been the starting striker. We needed someone. I think we were linked to Harry Kane that summer. That was never going to happen. Someone older who could have come in. He was just too young. He had barely played much football. He wasn't really even meant to be a starter at Atalanta. He came in because their starter, I forget his name now, Zapata, I think it was injured, and then Hojlund kind of just grabbed hold of that opportunity. Very different system at Atalanta than he played under Ten Hag. Atalanta were very counterattack focused, which Hojlund really excels at, running into space, getting in behind. Not very good when you have to stop and hold up the ball and things like that. And so I thought that, we let him down a little bit. I thought he let himself down a little bit. It is what it is. We're not going to here point fingers and, put blame on anyone. It is what it is. But 38 million pounds is the option. So nice to see a club that has the option to buy who actually wants to pay it. Looking at you, Barcelona. Apparently 27 million is too much for them, for Marcus Rashford. Luke in the house. What's up? You got a Northampton Town third kit. Gradient blue, interesting. Northampton Town. That's pretty random. Welcome to the channel. Forgive me if you've been here before. I don't remember. The YouTube has just recently changed a lot of that stuff, but big up, man. Welcome. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on Hojlund. Are you happy he's going? Do you happy for him that he's doing so well? It seems like everybody can go to Napoli and just do well. It's so funny that no one seems to talk about that. Everyone wants to look at players going to Serie A and say, "Oh, United is the problem." No one wants to talk about the fact that all these players that the media has slated and fans have slated are going to a league, and everyone's doing well. Whether it's Darmian, whether it's Ashley Young, Alexis Sanchez, McTominay. I'm not slating the players. I'm just saying, why is it always United was the issue and not maybe that league is just a little less demanding in some ways than the Premier League? I'm just saying. There's always two sides of that coin, and it seems like it's only one side that's being reported on when it comes to that kind of stuff. But let's see. Rob says, I was against letting him go now, but makes sense. He would struggle to get game time now. Right decision. Yeah, and it got to a point. You guys know I stuck by Hojlund for the longest time. I defended him to the hilt, and then it just got to a point where he crossed that threshold where he just was not able to do the basics. He was forcing things. He was just looked a little lost most of the time, and I was like, man, it got to be a point where I was like, for his own career's sake, he just needs to go and just play football. Find a club that plays to your strengths. Similar like we saw from McTominay. McTominay was never going to work in a deep role in a double pivot. Play him on that wide 8 at Napoli. Let him get some space where he can receive the ball off the deep player and not be the deep player trying to make the plays. You're going to see McTominay cook, but it is what it is. But we're all, maybe you can be happy for him, maybe not. It's up to you guys. So let's talk about the big news of the week. I'm sure you guys have talked about this many, many times. Let me put this on the big screen so you guys can read it a little better. Elliot Anderson. So I think we can all agree that center midfield is a priority. Many of us have one name near the top of our list. And for some, this is the number one target. And again, Elliot Anderson. He arrived at Forest, if you guys remember, as part of an iffy swap deal involving Vlachodimos, the goalkeeper, which is also why I'm confused, as you'll see here, that Newcastle linked with him. But this is what Florian Plettenberg had to say here. Manchester United and Newcastle are just too many top clubs closely monitoring Elliot Anderson. Their interest has already been registered. Forest are aware, key player for them, understand for a transfer in the summer, a fee of around 100 to 120 million pounds is currently being demanded. There is no release clause. I don't get why Newcastle are tracking him. They're the ones who let him go to Forest. I don't get that at all. But he has been an absolute standout. Not only at Forest, he's been a standout in the Premier League. He's by far one of the best midfielders right now. Put him up there with Adam Wharton and guys like that. He's doing great. Many clubs linked. Again, United are included. 100 million. I put the poll in the chat. Let me see where you guys are at. And let me know your thoughts on Elliot Anderson. Is 100 million, 120 million? 88% of you say no way. He's not worth that. I don't know where Florian Plettenberg got that number from, but 100, 120 million is literally insane. Sometimes I feel like clubs just want to be known for getting a record fee for a player. I don't know what it is. Honestly, for me, that's about 120 million is about 50 million more than I would want to pay for Elliot Anderson personally. Where do you guys? What is a good price tag? What would you be willing to pay for Elliot Anderson? Keep in mind that he isn't going to be this deep lying playmaker. Now he does have a good ball progression, but he's not going to be making these line breaking passes. He is physical. I do like that. He gets about the pitch. He and Douglas Luiz have been holding down the fort, but Forest are struggling a bit. He is class though, but I definitely would not pay 120 million, man. Samuel, welcome back. Ruben Amorim should be using Cheeto in the Manchester United first team. It's a big shout. I think a lot of people would argue that Cheeto's not quite ready. I've been watching a lot of the academy, and Cheeto played the other day. You can tell he kind of reminds me of when Ethan Wheatley came into the first team. He's got the bug. He wants to get involved. He's definitely nowhere. I don't even think Diego Leon is ready for first team. And he was playing first team football when we bought him. So I don't know if Cheeto's quite ready. He's very, very young. It's good that we've got him in the academy. It's good that he's coming through. I'd like him to probably go out on loan and see how he does in England against grown men, maybe in like League One, something. but I don't know if he's ready to be relied upon. And right now, I don't see a spot for him, and so it's a point where why if he's ready to go out on loan, I'd rather him go out on loan because he's just going to sit on the bench if we bring him into the first team. Personally, we're not ever going to be in a place right now. Clearly, 3-0 up against Brighton. We're not in a place where we can afford to bring on players. We're bringing on first teamers when we're 3-0 up and we're still struggling. We almost threw that game away. We can't. I don't think we can do that quite yet. And I don't want that on Cheeto's shoulders personally, even if he has nothing to do with it. But I personally don't think he's quite ready yet. Samuel says Newcastle sold Elliot Anderson a swap deal to get rid of. Yep, and that's why I said an iffy swap deal, because neither of those players were quite. The numbers involved were not. Lacademos was not worth that. It was a way to circumvent PSR, and that's. I wish that we could start doing stuff like that. We seem to be the only club incapable of doing things like that. So I'm not saying I enjoy it, but if everyone's going to do stuff like that, why not us? Rob says Forest away next. Let's hope the news makes him put in a Baleba style. But see, that's the thing. If he struggles with just these heavy links like Baleba's doing, do you want him? If he struggles with just the rumor of getting linked to United, what's he going to do if he actually has to put on the United shirt? I worry about that. That's one of those intangible qualities I've been talking about when it comes to scouting players. You know, the resilience, the aggression, the leadership. You can't really measure that stuff. It's not like speed or heart rate or distance covered. That you can look at. It's right there. It's black and white. We need to be able to look more closely at some of these things. You know, personality. Ferguson, if you guys ever watched that Phil Jones interview from several months ago, when Sir Alex met with Phil Jones, he didn't even talk to him about football. He talked to him about his social life, his family, education, all that stuff. And I think that that's important. So y'all let me know what you think. Sanchi, absolute legend, in with the super chat, says blaming subs when they have no game time. Is it wise? Follow-up questions. First, should we cash in on Bruno? So you've got two questions there. I said yesterday was it yesterday? Sunday in the match reaction, I did not blame the subs for the 2 goals. I simply pointed out the correlation between the fact that we took off guys like Casemiro, for instance, and we tended to struggle. There was somebody put up a graphic yesterday, maybe, that when Casemiro plays, we concede very few goals, and when he doesn't play, we concede a lot more goals. And again, correlation. You'll never hear me say things is causation. It's correlation. Again, against like Coventry, for instance, a couple of years ago in the FA Cup, we were up 3-0, 70 some odd minute. We should be able to make substitutions in a 3-0 up against Coventry or against a Brighton side at home and not have to all of a sudden find ourselves in squeaky bum time. Not blaming subs. I'm just pointing out the correlation between what happened when we made the subs later on in the match. And I even said the way we conceded those goals had a lot to do with stuff that we've seen for a long time at United. That corner kick, and specifically that we conceded. That was Xerxes, that was Bruno that I had a problem with on that one. It had nothing to do with the subs. It had to do with bad defending on a set piece. Both of those goals are set piece. Nothing you can do about Welbeck's goal other than the fact that maybe remind the ref that you marked that spot about 10 yards ahead of where the foul took place, but it is what it is. But should we cash in on Bruno? Do you trust us to spend the money? That's the bigger question. I wasn't 100% worried when we didn't sell him this summer because I knew that even if he were going to leave in a year, we'd still get a decent chunk of change for him. So I'm not too worried. It would just be depending on if we have top targets and if they're available, then yeah, probably, because you can't build around him. I don't dislike Bruno, but I'd like the idea of let's see what we can do with that money. But what do you think, Sanchi? Let me know. Stephanie says, if forwards go for 65, 70 million like Cunha and Bumo and Shesko, and there's no way we spend more than that. Yeah. I thought that was, people say that the prices for those guys were a lot. I think they're looking like bargains. We put up that graphic last week of the transfer value changes with some of these players, and some of those guys that you listed, Stephanie, have seen their transfer value increase by 5 or even 10 million, which almost makes it seem like we actually, saved a bit of money if you look at it mathematically. But yeah, you remember a time when forwards are going for crazy fees. You remember when keepers were going for crazy fees, defenders are going for crazy fees. The transfer market's nuts. I think if we can get the transfer market back to a sustainable level, we can start getting wages back to a sustainable level. It went a little bit nuts for a couple of years there with guys like Mbappe and Neymar and stuff. That stuff was insane. I don't think we're going to keep doing stuff like that. So I agree with people when they say we're not going to spend 100 million. I don't think we did put in a big offer for Baleba though, but Roman says we'll finish top 4 this season. Shouldn't the logical aim be a title charge next season? I mean, some people would say no. Some people would say yes. Some people use where you finish in a given year as the metric. Some people look at where you are in a rebuild, quality of the squad, things like that. I don't think it's fair to expect it so early on, but it's not up to me, is it? I think everyone's going to have a different response to that. It sounds like you're banking a lot on the fact of we're doing better than people thought. That should probably set down the marker for next year to improve upon. So let me know what you think. I don't necessarily know if I have a given one. I'm kind of along for the ride a lot of ways, but we are doing better than I thought. And you guys know I am and I've said this a couple times, I am more of a don't rest on our laurels. Okay, well done. Now keep it up kind of guy. I am the kind of guy who says, like, one of my mottos in this is success breeds expectation. When you do well, I expect that level and then improvement on that level. So maybe that is a bit harsh, maybe that is a bit strict, but there's also context involved. And so what I'm saying is I wouldn't surprise me if we didn't do so. If we didn't put in a title charge next season, I would be ecstatic and I would hope for it, but it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't, I guess is my answer. So Samuel says, are you and your best friend coming on the 1st of November? We are coming between Christmas and New Year. We're going to Newcastle and we're going to Wolves, and then we're going to head over to Salford to catch Salford versus Fleetwood Town, maybe catch a glimpse of Ethan Ennis in action. He's on loan there. So we will be there at the end of the next month. So Rob says, I think it's hard for players who aren't getting proper game time through shine. Going out in the EFL Cup is hurting us bad. Yeah, and it is a problem. Obviously not being in Europe is a big hurt. And players had every opportunity to ensure that we were still in the Carabao Cup, and they struggled. Grimsby wanted it. Grimsby were just better on the day. It wasn't a fluke or anything. They were just better. And I think that a lot of players that a lot of people have been crying out for to get minutes started that match, and a lot of them struggled and couldn't get it done. I'm not blaming them. I'm just, again, pointing out what happened. Cobby started that match. Xerxes started the match. We had Fredrickson. I don't blame Fredrickson, but Fredrickson was at fault for a goal that we conceded with a bad touch. It's going to happen. I think that maybe there's argument that we made too many changes in that match. Maybe we needed to start strong and then switch it at halftime. Who knows? Coulda, woulda, shoulda at this point. It's hindsight, right? But it is a learning experience for everybody. So Samuel says, Anthony Taylor, Michael Oliver should be banned from refereeing. Yeah, Anthony Taylor had an absolute nightmare, man. It was insane. Absolutely insane, dude. Roman says, we'll be the favorites if we get Wharton and Caicedo. I doubt we're getting Caicedo at all. You can imagine Chelsea paid an exorbitant amount of money for him. There's no way. He and Enzo are going to be their midfielders for a while, unless like Madrid or somebody comes in for him. But Wharton would be my top choice. I would love someone next to him, like someone in the Gallagher Anderson mold. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I think that could be a really good mid. Hackney, I think, would be a good one too. Samuel says, Ineos, Sir Jim, should regenerate Old Trafford into 150,000 seater. I saw talks the other day. I think Kieran Maguire was talking about it yesterday that they might have to even downsize from the 100 seater. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think they'll find a way to still maintain the 100K seats, but I think that the financial cost is going to be a bit hard because Freightliner are holding strong. We did get reports that the discussions over the land price were positive, but we'll see, man. It's absolutely going to be see. Bexy, we'll be doing that forest prediction a little later on this week, just depending on how I'm feeling, because my throat is done. I've got like cold sweats, so I'm cold, but I'm like sweaty, so it's probably not a good thing. But what are your thoughts on Elliot Anderson? We've done a scouting report on him. You guys know he's up there, top of my list. It's probably Wharton and then Anderson for me personally. But do you have any other options? We've scouted a ton of midfielders on this channel over the year and a half or so we've been doing this. A lot of them have gone on to other clubs, including he who shall not be named. Guys like Mamadou Sangare, who we spoke about, is now at Lens, I think. So a lot of midfielders out there. But let me know. So Rob says a lot of COVID in the UK. Yeah, it could be a flu then because she came back from Glastonbury. Now Glastonbury is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but she was sick probably the last day or so. She got home. She was sick. She slept 12 hours the first night she got here. I thought it was just kind of jet lag, but then yesterday I started feeling a little bit, and today I'm just on my ass. I mean, I haven't done anything today. Roman says, I mean, we could disrupt Chelsea by speaking to Caicedo and offering him big wages. Not unthinkable, possible. At least try. I wouldn't want to have to offer big wages to do that, though. I think I would like us to get away from having to give players big wages. Remember, a lot of fans were critical of that around, 7, 8 years ago, that, we were only getting these players in because we were offering so much money. And then these players are stuck here on 300K a week because nobody else will pay that, and they walk away for free. Varane, Martial, De Gea, and now Casemiro. These guys are all walking away free because we have given them just so much money that we're stuck with them. Look at Sancho. Sancho is still here. He could walk away for free technically. Like, it's really like, and that's been a big problem. That's why PSR is hurting us so bad, because we spend so much money on these players, we pay them so much, and then we don't ever get anything for them because they walk away for free or we take a loss on them. It's an issue we're trying to get a handle on. It's an issue that Ineos walked into. They didn't create a PSR situation. They inherited it and they had to figure out a way out of it. I don't like a lot of the solutions that they came up with, like sacking all these staff and stuff, but I get the problems are there. It's not their doing, but it is what it is. Samuel says Moises Caicedo would be a good replacement for Luka Modric. Do you think he's similar profile to Luka Modric? So, I mean, Camavinga, Tchouaméni have been doing a lot of things. I feel bad for Valverde. He's been kind of shoved into a right back role, which I don't understand. Madrid, like, they just keep buying the wrong position, in my opinion. So, Florentino Perez, man, what are you going to do? Sanchi, man, just doing his thing. Big up Sanchi, another super chat. What position is sackable for Amorim end of the season? I'm not advocating Amorim out, but still, anything for me below 8th. Sanchi, were you here for our season prediction and our transfer window ratings video? Dylan and I kind of gave our predictions. Now, I predicted, I think it was around 8th or 9th. I can't remember where Dylan predicted, but where we are now, maybe if we finish 6th, it'd be awesome. If we finish below 8th, I guess for a lot of people, it also depends on how we play and how we do. But the next run of like 8 or 9 games is very, very doable in terms of getting a decent amount of points. And so Spurs could be a bit of a banana skin, but 8th would be, we have some chats. The question then would be, would somebody be able to do better with these players and what, the typical questions. We did a possible Ruben Amorim replacement scouting report video for managers a couple, like last month. I think Dylan and I sat down and went through like 8 options. Again, not me saying I want him gone. It's me planning ahead, just like I did for Licha, just like I did for Bruno. We're just covering our bases. So before anyone calls me Amorim out, I do the same for players too. It doesn't mean I want Licha sold. We have to plan ahead for it. So for you, it's anything below 8th. I'd probably agree something similar. You could say that below 8th is an improvement on last year, but then is it really? Let me know. Samuel says Canton only cost Manchester United 1 million. What would that translate to now, though, with inflation and with prices? What do you think 1 million would be now? 30 some odd years later. Don't ask me to do math. It's not my strong point. So Roman says Hojlund is on 500K a week or something like that. If you want to win the league and Champions League, you need that caliber of players. Yeah, you do need a caliber of player, and there is a statistical correlation if you read Soccernomics between success and player wages, simply because better players are paid more. But if we had a player that was on 500K a week, we would literally be scrutinized for that every single week long. And did anybody question Hojlund? No, nobody cares because it's City. But if we play someone 500K a week, they're not going anywhere. Now, the way that Hojlund gets out of it is because he's got, I think, a release clause or something. He'll probably go in the next couple of years at least. But again, he's going to have to take a wage cut, or he's going to have to get that wage. The only place that's going to do that is probably going to be Barcelona if he goes there. Maybe Bayern, but probably Barcelona. But 500K a week, we're just not there yet, in my opinion. And we had a lot of you guys voted. We did a stream a while back that clearing the deadwood was your top priority in the summer. We did that. Part of that is getting the wage bill under a sustainable amount. I don't think we're at a point yet we can afford to go. Who would you pay 500K a week? And are there any players out there that you would play 500K a week? 80 some percent of you say that Elliot Anderson is not even worth 100 million. If you pay 100 million for your player, you're going to probably have to pay them a decent amount of wage. So, what player out there is worth 500K a week, 300K a week? Who would you pay that much to? And who would you pay 100 million for? These are good questions that we're having. I don't think it's as simple and as black or white as right and wrong. It's just, in your opinion, is there a player, Roman, that you would pay 500K a week to outside of Hojlund? If Hojlund is your answer, then is there any other player that's worth 500K a week? Probably not. Rob says, not qualifying for Europe is that line for me. I want him to have a full season. Yeah, and we said, when he's get a preseason and when we start seeing some more player, I like the caliber of the players we brought in. It looks like preseason was very good for a lot of our players, and not just the tactical side, but even just the fitness side. A lot of these players are back leaner, more energized. They seem to have more mobility, more fight to them, and that's part of Ruben Amorim as well. We got to give him praise for that. But we'll see. We were worried maybe without Champions League, but it seems like having that week in between is helping some people. So Roman says, not 500. I'd pay 300K a week to Caicedo, Rodrigo, 200K a week for Nuno Mendes. Yeah, and I think, again, everyone's going to have their own answers. I don't think there's a simple answer to that personally. So, but it is something to think about for sure. Rob says, should United extend Sancho's contract +1 or let him go for free? How much do you think? I mean, what would be the point of extending? Like, if everyone's just gonna wait another year, because then you're just paying his wages for another year, and you're gonna be paying him what, 12, 13 million a year in salary at that point. If someone's just gonna take him, just take him. But I think he came on the other day, and I was gonna talk about this later on. We'll talk about it now, but. So let me get Elliot. We'll talk about that a little bit. So yeah, Sancho came on as a sub against Man City, and then he was literally taken off in the same match. I mean, I honestly forgot he was at Villa for a hot second, but yeah, came on as a sub, came off as a sub, then came on in like the 29th minute, came off in like the 75th minute. I think Villa ended up winning that match, right? But that's probably not a good look. Clearly, Sancho was not happy about it. If you notice, when Ross Barkley came on, and reached out to Sancho as he was exiting the pitch, Sancho didn't even shake his hand. Sancho did not even really acknowledge Unai Emery when he came off. Unai Emery was trying to, high five him, and Sancho just walked away from him. I mean, Sancho really could have been an absolute world beater if he had any sort of the mentality that it takes to do that. Talent is not enough. It's just not. You have to have hardworking mentality. You have to have that drive, that sacrifice. Even Ronaldo, who's younger, much younger than Sancho is now, would be the first one to training, the last one out. The groundskeepers at United would get pissed because he would be out there practicing free kicks long after everyone else went home as a young player. Like, that is the difference between people who are going to be world class and the people who are not. You cannot just rest on your laurels. You've got to improve. So Sancho could have been a world beater. Instead, his attitude, that lack of humility, that constant deflection, I'm scapegoated, it's never my fault, that has potentially driven his career into the ground. I don't know. He could go to like the Saudi League, maybe go to like someplace like Como or something, maybe, and just kind of do something there. I don't know, but he could have had the world at his feet, and instead he threw a lot of it away, dude. It's annoying. Let's see here. Samuel says Hojlund will be joining either Barcelona or Real Madrid. Real Madrid I don't know about because they've got Mbappe. Barcelona, maybe, because Lewandowski's probably going to leave. And you know that Barcelona like to get big players. So, but yeah, he's constantly leaving. He's basically the Ibrahimovic. We'll see what happens to him, though. Rob says, I see it the same, but it seems like United are thinking about it. Thinking about what? Oh, the Sancho thing? I think that if this were 7 or even 4 years ago when it was the Glazers and was Woodward, I would say probably, because that's what they did. I just don't know if Ineos and Barada and those guys see it the same way. And so I wouldn't expect it under this new regime. I think we forget. Sometimes we think, oh, we always do this at United, but this is a new regime now. So it's totally different. Roman says Ruben should be sacked if we battle the Champions League. At minimum, bottle the Champions League, we should be at 5th with that attack, but there's no more deadwood apart from Shaw and Mount. Well, some people might argue, some people would call like Dallo deadwood. I think we should sell Dallo personally. He had a good match against Brighton, but I just haven't seen enough of him in what 8 years he's been here to justify what he's doing. Like he needs to go. Sanchi says, I just think we United fans are in euphoria and we'll deserved, but we need Europa Champions League. If we do not get Europe, then we need to let go of Bruno, Harry, Dallo, Casemiro, Luke, and even Licha. Why? Why let? I mean, I can some of them, yeah, but you threw a lot of names in there. This almost sounds like a punishment. Or are you looking to worry about finances? Yeah, qualifying for Europe, obviously that's something we always want to do. But again, I think that so let's say we finished 15th last year. We didn't really have a decent summer. Would you still expect us to qualify for Europe? Do you think that Mbumo and Cunha and Shesko and Lamens are enough of difference makers? It's not up to me to decide. I can have an opinion. I think that they are good. I think they are now starting to really come good. I think that we'd be even higher in the table had Lamens been starting early on in the season personally. So I don't think it's unrealistic to think that we could finish in European spot. I'm not gonna expect it. Like I'm not saying I'm gonna be mad if we don't. It's not something that even now I'm like, yeah, we'll get top four because I don't know because it's not about the quality of players. It's about the same stuff that we've seen, the resilience, which has been better to be fair, the set piece defending, the openness sometimes still in midfield. We still are a little guilty of jumping the gun a little too bit with the press in midfield and leaving ourselves exposed. There are still some gaps there that I've seen that we've yet to improve upon. But that's not necessarily just down to Amorim because we've been struggling with defending set pieces for a number of years. Big up, Mad Hatter. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well, man. How are things going? Mad Hatter says Dallo and Ugarte. I forgot about Ugarte. He's just not enough in a two man midfield. He just doesn't have enough on the ball to justify it. And I think that he does a lot when it comes to just haranguing the opposition. He'll let you know he's there, but that's just not enough. Unfortunately, he's got to do more than that. He's got it's just not enough. Unfortunately, yeah. Samuel, we scouted Lucy Nagume several months ago on the channel. Obviously, it was before even the summer window. We scouted him, I think. He's a good player. Lamine Camara, another one we scouted as well. Diego Dallo should go to Atletico Madrid. Yeah, I think Spain could be a good move for him. He did well at AC Milan. Remember, he was on loan there for a hot second. And it's so funny because I know people are like, why does Amorim play him? Well, every manager's pretty much played him, aside from Ollie. But Ten Hag played him. I mean, he was our player of the year, right? It wasn't not that long ago. And so I think that he brought something that a lot of these managers liked. When I watch him play, I just don't see it. I don't see composure in 1v1s. I don't see the ability to close the attacker down with the ball. His end product, I just don't see either. I'm not seeing enough of it personally. So Sanchi says the group of players are in a way responsible. Yeah, the players, and I've said it many times, the players have a lot to answer for. They were just not good enough at all. So Roman says Alessandro is class, but you can't rely on him. Bruno and Casemiro don't have that more in him. I think Bruno has got a lot more in him because I just think he's just built differently. Casemiro, I think, looks better this season, even maybe better than last season. I think he looks much more athletic, physical. But I do agree we can't build around him. He'll probably be gone. Bruno, I still go either way. Keep him if you want. Sell him if you want. 100 million, hard to turn down. Lissandro, I'm still reserving judgment on just to wait and see how he recovers from this ACL issue. The first two injuries he had were not really his fault. Those were like contact as a metatarsal fracture. And then I forget what happened. Vladimir Sufal fell on his knee. So contact, that's not the same as like a Jones or a Mount or a Shaw where there's these constant like niggling little hamstrings and ankles and calves. That's not injury prone. That's literally someone fell on my knee. The ACL, that started to worry me because that non-contact, that was the result of not playing football for a long time. And that's where I'm starting to worry. That's why I did the Licha replacement video. I did that shortly after he picked up that ACL injury last season because you have to start planning for life without him. I looked at left-footed, aggressive, good on the ball center backs in that video. You can go find it. I think there's a link in the description. I might have gotten rid of that link though, but it's on the channel someplace. But I hear you. I'm cautious, but I haven't written him off yet. We'll see. People get ACL injuries and come back just fine. And Van Dijk got his ACL injured, 4 or 5 years ago, and he's come back and he's played pretty much every match of the season. It can happen. It just depends, right? Let's see. Rob says Dorgu is getting criticized a bit. He's young and learning. He can come good. He has strengths. Yeah, and I don't ever look at Dorgu as a finished product. The guy just turned 21 yesterday. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. Yeah, his crossing can improve. I think it will improve. His positional sense probably will improve. But everything I see from him that you can't teach, i.e. the effort, the work rate, the intensity, the attitude, the mentality, that's what I like about him. What I would not be opposed to a more experienced left back if there's an option out there. But Dorgu is just like Kabi. I'm not concerned about it. He's young. He will learn. The mistakes he makes are mistakes I'd expect young players to make. Similar to what we say about Euro too as well. Roman says, for me, Diogo is just like Hojlund, good guy, good work ethic, loves the club. But it's Manchester United. You got to leave. You're not talented enough. I just need to see, I've just never seen enough from Dalot. It just haven't. It is what it is. So what you going to do? Matt Harris says, I don't mean to derail, but can we revel in Liverpool's? Oh, we reveled. We reveled hard after the match reaction, man. Like I said in that video after the match when I did 3 thoughts, man, I was talking about Arne Slot, and I had to actually get a spell checker because for a second I forgot how many L's were in Slot, and then I remembered, it's 4. So just in case you're wondering how many L's are in Slot, it's 4. But oh yeah, trust me. If you've been part of this channel for a while, you know that the rivalry runs deep. I do always drink my Scouse tears. I am all over my Scouse tears. I've got a bottle always at the ready. We're going hard. We go hard on Liverpool in this channel. So Sanchi wants to know if Liverpool should cash in on Salah. I bet they're wishing they did, aren't they? Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, these guys are absolute waste men, dude. Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak. This is an example of a microcosm of Liverpool's arrogance, man. They had to go spend another 250 million on 2 players. They would have been fine with Ekitike. They already had Szoboszlai. They didn't need to go do that, and they did it because they were like, to me, that is a bit of a worry that they're like, well, Arne Slot, do you need all these players? I mean, and clearly, and how many times did I say it last season when the guys like Salah and Van Dijk, when they start to fall off or when they're sold, and when Arne Slot starts to implement his system, that's going to be the real test, and we're seeing it now. They are struggling. So Mad Hatter just became a member. The big up, Mad Hatter. Thank you. Appreciate that. All the support, man. As members get access to a lot of stuff, right? It's not just badges and emojis. There's now a WhatsApp group for Starting 11 and Legends members. There's a link to that in the community tab. Just try not to share the link with everybody. It's only for Starting 11 and Legends members. So I trust you guys to hold true to that. But you can also make suggestions for scouting reports, episode ideas for what ifs, questions from a boot, things like that. So, but big up, Mad Hatter. Appreciate the support. You guys are legends. You know what? I do need to get a drink of Scouse here because my throat is done. Glug glug. Tastes salty, tastes bitter, but inject it into my veins. Dude, yeah, Isak, I mean, we know Isak's a good player. It's just, there was no need for it. There was absolutely no need for it, man. Getting old and on the slide. Salah and Van Dijk, yeah, dude. I remember, and I think what was great is in the Europa or the Champions League when they beat Frankfurt, right? And Wirtz got a couple of assists. Everybody was like, he's back. Even the media was like, all right, he's proving his worth. And I'm like, 2 assists against literally the 7th placed Bundesliga side who have at that point conceded the most goals in the Bundesliga. Yeah, he's worth it. He's worth the money. Good job, guys. Oh boy. Yeah, Rob's heavily involved in the WhatsApp group. I haven't been super involved this week just because I've just been sick. But yeah, it is a fun little group. We just chat about things, share links and stuff, videos and tweets and whatnot. So fun little group. You guys can get involved. Keep the conversation rolling outside of the videos. So, but we're gonna move on to some scouting reports now. So you guys make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing. We've got a new little logo here for doing scouting reports. So because we got linked with a new player this week, Florian Plettenberg continuing with the run. He also reports that United are in advanced talks over the signing of another young player, and this time it is. Oh, sorry. These are Elliot Anderson's numbers, by the way, in case you guys want to know. This is why a lot of us like him, by the way, because look at all them greens. Um, Tackles, numbers, progression, shot creating. He's very, very good. He covers every blade of grass in that left-hand kind of channel. So forgot that I put those in there in case people were wondering why we all like Elliot Anderson so much. So, but let's say hello to 16-year-old Swedish striker Kevin Filling. So according to Florian Plettenberg, we are in strong talks over the signing of Kevin Filling. 16-year-old striker could leave AIK, their Swedish club, this winter, and his price is around £2.5 million. So this is the kid that we've been linked to, all right? So he plays for AIK football. They are in the Swedish league. He has scored 3 goals in 5 matches. Last time I checked, he was sent on loan to second division Swedish side Enköpings SK Jarvis. I don't know if that's right. I know you're not Swedish, but you might have a better idea. He scored a goal there in 3 appearances. He's now back at AIK and heavily involved in the first team. He's got 2 goals in 7 matches. Very good young player. I like what I see from this kid a lot. The way he plays, his movement, his style of play, to me, it reminds me a lot of Anthony Martial. Now, I put up a heat map. He hasn't gotten a lot of touches. Again, he's 16, but you can kind of see down in those right-hand channels and inside that left-hand channel or on the edge of the box. Again, that's why if you watch him, he is more of a forward. I would say he's more of a forward and less of a straight-out striker if I had to make a decision on that now. But again, it reminds me a lot of Anthony Martial. The way he moves on the ball, his style of play, the way he likes to cut inside. I think he's probably like that. Maybe a little more strength to him than Anthony Martial in terms of body strength, but he's comfortable receiving the ball in wide areas. You can tell he's very confident in his ability to beat a man 1v1 and drive that ball off the pitch, create space for himself. In a match against Göteborg, he had 100% dribble completion, completed 4 out of 6 ground duels as well. So very good numbers already from such a young player. He can jump too. I put this on there and someone posted in the WhatsApp group too a clip of his 96-minute match-winning header against Brahma Pukarna, I think is what they're called in the Swedish league. So he's got some hops to him as well. So I like attackers who can score a variety of goals, and this guy looks like he can. Very comfortable on the ball, like I said. He's just good with his feet, good footwork, press resistant. He can pick up the ball in a variety of areas on the pitch and create space for himself and drive it forward, which I like that a lot. I think that would lend well to the 10s system that we play right now. I think he would do good as an understudy for someone like Mbuemo Cunha, sorry. But he's 16. Is he better than JJ Gabriel? I would say by the time JJ Gabriel's 16, he's going to be levels ahead of this kid personally. And so I'd rather just stick with Gabriel if it were me. But we reportedly made contact this past summer. Some Swedish outlets claim that United would then loan him to Lausanne Sport, where Enzo Kanabayek is right now. He'll be 17 as well, though, soon. So a January move could be possible because he'll be of age. I've seen Spurs and some Bundesliga clubs linked to him as well. But that was the big news today. So let's see what y'all are saying here. Bexy says Cunha is so much better than Wirtz. Yeah, it's looking like a deal. Literally less than half of what Wirtz costs. Matt Hatter would hold on to Bruno for one more season to give him time to properly scout. If we're not already scouting or Bruno replacement, though, then that's a problem. You should already. It's like playing pool. You got to look a couple moves ahead. This is why I do these replacement videos. You've got to start scouting. If we don't have a list of Bruno replacements, I did a Bruno replacement video a while back, then that's a problem. Like, what are these guys getting? Supposedly best in class. Best in class needs a plan for every contingency. Yeah, Roman Wharton to be my pick for sure. Rob says Enzo, Cheeto, and now Feeling. We're trying to find that next big striker talent. All hail Vavel. Yeah, this kid looks really, really good. I'd still you guys know I always would, when it's a similar age profile, I'm always going to lean more towards academy than spending money on a young player. But that's just me. But I think that if there are opportunities, it's hard to turn them down. And so Roman says, I haven't seen him. Yeah, his touch is very, very good. He reminds me a lot of Martial when we first signed Martial, the way he kind of dribbles, the way his movement style is, the way he plays, cuts in onto his right foot. He's got a little bit more physicality, I think, than Martial. He's definitely better in the air, I think, as Martial. But good-looking little player, but I'd probably still go for JJ Gabriel in a couple of years when he's of age, personally. But really good. Really good young player. Sticking with youngsters and sticking with my scouting logo over here. Sky Germany, who Florian Plettenberg works with a lot, they also claim that United are among a host of clubs closely monitoring 18-year-old RB Salzburg attacker Kerim Alabegovic. Put him on the screen for you guys. Let me make him big for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about here. Kerim Alabegovic. I'm sorry if I completely butchered that. He's Bosnian, so in case you're wondering, but he plays primarily as like a left-sided forward, left winger for RB Salzburg. Came up through the Leverkusen Academy, Bayer Leverkusen Academy, just moved to RB Salzburg this past summer, but he already has 6 goals and one assist. He was man of the match against Grazer AK back in August after he got a goal and assist in that match. 3 times Team of the Week this season in the Austrian Bundesliga as well. He is 9th in the league already for goals, 3rd in the league for shots on target per 90, 11th in the league for successful dribbles per 90. And in his final season with Leverkusen's Rezzies, he bagged 16 goals in 32 games. So literally a goal every other game. Now, Salzburg already extended his contract in 2029 in this September, literally a month after they got him, because it was clear he was special. It was clear that he was getting interest from other clubs. I put up some numbers here so you can see a little bit more about what I'm working with. Look at his chance creation, the goals, the shots, touches, literally 100 percentile for shot attempts. The kid just loves to get the ball off his feet. And you can see he kind of operates in a similar position on the pitch in those heat maps of where you're going to see guys like Mbeumo and Cunha play in those channels, getting wide when necessary, cutting inside just outside the box as well. Here are some of his stats. Now, they weren't on FBref. They are on FootMob if you want to go look them up. But I'm looking at the pass accuracy, the long balls, the successful passes. Really, really good, high percentile rank for those. Again, those shots on target are literally as best as it can get. Looking for his dribbles, well above average. Tackles, again, for an attacker, he puts in a good shift, which maybe he could play as a left wing back at times if we need him to. But again, well above average for wingers when it comes to tackles and duels won and recoveries and things like that. Does a really good job. Puts in a shift off the ball, which I do appreciate. Oops, sorry. But good-looking young attacker, 18 years old. We, again, linked him. A number of clubs are linked to him. Again, most recent one we've been linked. There's that Salzburg connection with Christopher Vivell as well. What are you guys saying? Rob says, don't forget Welsh kid Biancheri. Oh, yeah, I don't forget about Biancheri. We shouted him out the other day. You guys know Biancheri has been on my list for a while because I don't see him necessarily as a striker, Rob. I definitely see him as someone who's going to play in one of those 10 roles personally. I think he makes a lot of really good late kind of third man runs. I think Biancheri is good enough. Biancheri to me is ahead of Cheeto in terms of first team ready. I don't think I'd put him right in, but in terms of just comparing those two and who's maybe next in line, I would probably go with Biancheri first. Shea Lacey's up there as well. We have a lot of really good youngsters, man. Roman says, because those are the things you can't teach. He has to come naturally. Everyone was saying he's only 17 when I said Garnacho was trash. Yeah, and I think at the time, we can only work with what we're given. But and you never know how a player is going to work out. I think the problem with Garnacho was never ability. The same with Rashford. I don't think the problem with Rashford necessarily was ability. Now, neither of them are world class anywhere near it. The problem was mentality. And again, you can't measure that stuff. Like you're saying, you just can't teach a lot of that. You can't quite measure it. That has a lot to do with just personality, has a lot to do with who they surround themselves with, has a lot to do with their mentality. How much, of the hype are you going to listen to versus the criticism? How much are you going to look to social media? And I think that you can tell when these players are having some issues is when they overcompensate by trying to get out ahead of stuff. I mean, how many times have we seen Garnacho get punished for social media activity? Rashford trying to control a narrative by getting out ahead of things and posting or responding to people or doing interviews. Sancho trying to make sure it's not my fault. I'm a scapegoat. I'm not going to sit here and listen to people lie about me. That to me is insecurity. It's deflection. It's weak mentality. And I think there's no place for it at Manchester United, especially. I would argue there's no place for it in Premier League football or professional sport. If you can't handle that, if you can't handle not being first name on the team sheet, if you can't handle a bit of criticism, if you can't handle having to play out of position here and there, then I'm sorry, then you're not a team player. You're a you player. And that's just, there's no place for that. And so it is what it is. I agree. It's never as black and white as I think a lot of people want it to be. I'm not pointing you out. I'm just saying in general, Roman. I think a lot of people, and that's human nature. It does help our brains kind of make more sense of things if we can really try to force it into an either or kind of thing. But I think there's too much gray in life for things to be that black and white. So same as Gabriel being Cherry from the academy would look good in the Manchester. I think he's up there. Probably want him to get some loan time first just to make sure. But same with Wheatley. A lot of us, liked Wheatley, but he's not ready at all. Ethan Ennis was on fire last season in the academy. He's not quite there yet. I think you can look really great in the academy, but it's totally different to make the jump to men's team football. And speaking of youngsters, while we're talking about it, so Sancho's fall off should be studied. I mean, you're not wrong there. So there's your brand new scouting report logo. We'll switch back to the other logo as we go back to talking about normal stuff. But those are the two youngsters that we've been linked with. We talked about Elliot Anderson as well. Let's get back into the news because I also promised you guys in my tweet a loan watch. So usually, every couple of weeks we'll do a loan watch just to kind of see where all the youngsters are doing on loan. Seamus says your friend Dylan will be a good number 2 assistant for Ruben Amorim. Yeah, people would think it was Christian Eriksen out there on the pitch, though, and I don't think we want that kind of publicity. But yeah, Dylan's a smart guy. I love having him on the channel. I know you guys love and appreciate that, and so he gets all the love. Really, it's Dylan's channel. I'm just here doing the hard work, lazy. So, loan watch, Radek Vitek. Another clean sheet as his Bristol City beat Birmingham. Sorry, Tom Brady. It just is what it is. The interesting thing, though, so we can say, another clean sheet, 1-0 victory. The interesting thing about that, though, is Radek Vitek didn't have to make a single save. He literally did not face a shot at all. So it's interesting stuff. That's some Manuel Neuer stuff right there. But he still gets credit for the clean sheet, I guess. This is why I don't like clean sheets as the metric for keepers, by the way, because he didn't really have to make a single save, but it'll count towards a Golden Glove. But so Radek Vitek, another clean sheet for him. Harry Amos, I thought Harry Amos was superb against Middlesbrough earlier. Sheffield Wednesday did lose to Oxford this past weekend. Now, Hamas, his numbers individually were decent numbers, but he does need to improve on his physicality. His duels were not great, but he is playing a left wing back for them, which I think could be a really good transition. They do play 3 at the back, and he does play a left wing back role. So again, he was very good against Middlesbrough. Not great against Oxford, despite having some decent numbers. Toby Collier, not really playing. He got a hamstring a couple weeks back, which was my worry at United. He had a couple injuries at United, 15 matches missed for us when he was injured, only featured in a handful of matches. So, and he's older. I think Toby Collier is older than a lot of people really. I think he's 21, 22. And so we'll see. This is shop window for him. I think if he could stay fit, if he were developing a little bit more, maybe he could have a role in this side. But if we can get money for him, I wouldn't have a problem with that as well. Roman says Vitek will go to high places. We should let him get regular time and mature somewhere else before a callback. Yeah, and that was a big dilemma for me going into the summer because I rate Vitek. We followed him a lot last year when he was at VW Linz on loan. He was doing very, very, very well. Don't know if he was quite ready yet, but I wouldn't have had a problem rolling the dice. But the problem is he going to come and be a backup for Sena Lamens? Probably not. He'll probably be sold, and we just don't really do well with academy keepers at United. We sell a lot of them under here. We've Eli Harrison's still out on loan. He's not getting minutes. We might have to recall Eli Harrison just so he can go get minutes personally. But yeah, Joel Pereira never really got a sniff. John Stone never really got a sniff either. What are you going to do? Unfortunately, it's not everyone's going to make it. I just wish that we would give the goalkeepers a chance from the academy. Rob says Dylan needs his own shirt design. Well, we can figure it out. You guys, I'll take suggestions for a Dylan t-shirt design if you would like. I did put some new designs up last week on the UVE store. Y'all can check that out if you want. I've got another one in the works as well that I think a lot of us will like. So keep an eye out for another design. There could be a sale coming up towards Halloween as well. I'll put an announcement. You guys know I always put an announcement out. So, yes, Rob, always helping out, man. Rob, yes, please hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new. So Collier, hamstring, not playing. Ethan Wheatley, no goals in recent weeks. He was a sub against Luton Town recently. He does need to bulk up. He lost 21 duels against Reading. He lost the most duels in that match. 21 duels lost is a is a bit rough. He's young. It is what it is. But some of these players, again, people forget sometimes these youngsters, especially these teenagers, they're not fully physically developed. You're still going to be developing into your early 20s. These guys, even Cobby just now over the summer started to get bulk up. He kind of had a growth spurt. Don't judge him too harshly right now. But yeah, Wheatley's got to bulk up. Dan Gore gets stuck in. I like what I see from his numbers. 6 of 8 ground duels against Rotherham recently. 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 out of 1 long ball, 3 passes into the final third. If he can kind of get himself a little bit more well-rounded in terms of just maybe adding a little bit of silk to his on-the-ball work, he could probably do a job. But I want the youngsters to get minutes, whether that's here or elsewhere. If they're not going to get them here, but they're too good for the academy, we need to get them minutes elsewhere. And this is why we have Lausanne Sport. This is why we have a good relationship with Antwerp in the past. Things like that. We need to start doing that. Rob says, great shirts, hoodies. Yes, we do have mugs. There are magnets. There are stickers. There are beanies now for the cold weather as well. Go check them all out. And like I said many times, anything in the store, anything that says premium, like men's premium shirt, men's premium hoodie, if it says premium in it, maybe get a size up, because the premium stuff is a little bit more slim fitting. But just remember that. I don't want to get in trouble if something doesn't fit right. I made the mistake. I found that out the hard way. So Roman says, we definitely made a mistake by not loaning out Sekou to play. I thought he could have gone to Nice on loan. I thought he was good enough to play a role there, maybe get some minutes, maybe give some of their first teamers a bit of rest. If Sir Jim's going to own multiple clubs, I'd like to see us utilize that a little bit more. But you know how it is. Jack Morehouse, unused sub against Lincoln. He only played 13 minutes the week prior. So if he's not going to get more minutes, someone like Morehouse, maybe we need to recall him and let him find another spot for him. That's Johnny Evans' job, you guys know, is securing loan moves for the youngsters. And so, I'd like to see him do a little bit more with that. Ethan Ennis, very good in his last couple matches for Fleetwood. He completed the most dribbles against Accrington Stanley, also had 3 tackles and 1 interception on the night. His crossing and his ground duels do need to improve. He completed 0 out of 7 crosses recently, so do need to do a little better. But again, similar to Dorgu, finding out the crosses, I think the issue I've seen with most young players, Dorgu included, when it comes to crossing the ball, and Gary Neville said this, which made me feel great that I was somewhat vindicated, they're focusing too much on trying to get it perfect, that they try to pick out a player instead of just putting it into space, putting it into the box. It's not your job to create the space, get the ball in the box, and put it like literally on a dime. Like that last part, put it into space, let your attackers figure it out. It's just the way you got to do it. And I think sometimes you see that a lot. Ethan Tactical Tab, yes, Jarvis, yes, that reminds you, yes. There might be some new stuff coming up, so I'll wait and see if I can get that put out there. But yeah, big up, Jarvis. Forgot you were here, man. Sorry. Hope you're doing well, dude. I was gonna try to get out this week, kick a ball around. This cold is just killing me, man. It's killing me. If I didn't even walk my dogs today, I was afraid that I would pass out. I kind of feel I had COVID a couple years back, and it feels very similar to when I did have it, to where I was a bit weak, a bit dizzy, very, very tired. I don't think it's COVID, but who knows? Ethan Williams, nothing too exciting from him against Dundee United this weekend. He is at Falkirk, I think. Poor showing, honestly, to be honest, for Ethan Williams. I think they played him in a 10 role. Habib Oganai, one of the ones were similar to Kamasin, similar to Montato. I'm like, do we need to go get Giovanni Quenda when we've got guys like Oganai? Probably not. He was good against Harrogate, 9 defensive contributions, 3 passes in the final third. Crosses, not great, 2 out of 6, but 4 tackles, 4 clearances, 1 interception, 5 of 11 ground duels. He's doing it, man. He's doing a really good job out there. Enzo Kanabayek, you guys know the young attacker that we've got on loan at Lausanne Sports, another Ineos-owned club. 30 minutes as a sub this weekend, did pretty well. 2 out of 3 ground duels, 1 out of 2 group dribbles, completed all of his passes. And then, like I said, Eli Harrison, our young keeper, unused sub really since September. So we might need to recall him and go get that. What the heck is going on here? Chat's blowing up. Big up Jarvis, gifted 5 United vs. Everybody memberships. You guys are awesome. Jarvis, man, you're a legend, dude. Not just for doing that, but yeah, Jarvis's channel, Tactical Devils, he and Stu, absolute top pair of lads. go check out that channel if you guys get a second. Jarvis, are you doing anything tonight or this afternoon? I guess for you, let the chat know if you're going live tonight so they can make sure to jump on. Roman says a ball with pace getting into the 60-yard box will always wreak havoc. And that's the point. Get that early cross in, put it into space, and let the attackers figure it out. More often than not, when you're trying to pick something out specifically, you wait a little too long, the ball tends to go behind people, and then the chance is wasted. Just get that ball in early. Get your head up, get a quick scan, whip it into space, let them figure it out. It's not that hard. Really, the only thing you have to decide when you're whipping that ball in is if I'm whipping it in early, do I need to keep it on the ground and beat that last defender, or do I need to put that in the air if it's a little later and there are attackers in the box? Then that's fine. That's all you got to figure out. So yeah, it was a bit itchy, my throat. And today it feels a little better, but I'm just like, it's like cold sweats all day. So the great thing about gift and memberships, and we say it all the time, is that it reveals the lurkers that are in the chat. Remember, if you do want to be able to receive memberships from people like that, you have to have that setting activated in your personal YouTube account. If you don't have that setting activated, you will not be in contention to receive gifted memberships. But Jarvis, I appreciate that. You guys are legends, and Jarvis, much love, man. Jas the Cool Kid says, I don't know, we're looking at Baleba, Wharton, and Elliot Anderson, who would cost way more. We should be looking overseas. Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of good players out there. I do think Wharton and Anderson are among the best midfielders available right now. It's because there's always a bit of a question mark how players adapt. I don't necessarily buy into the whole Premier League proven priority, because I think that there are players who come from other leagues and have shown that that's not, like Bruno, for instance. No one cares. But I do think that it's hard to get much better right now than Wharton. I like Stiller a lot. I like he who shall not be named at Club Brugge, who made the move to AC Milan. We don't speak his name on this channel because I'm still a little heartbroken over that one. There are some good players out there. We've scouted a lot of midfielders out there, but I do like Wharton. He's about the closest thing I've seen to Michael Carrick in a long time. Anderson, I don't necessarily need Anderson specifically, but what Anderson brings, it's hard to deny. I put up those stats earlier. There's a lot of greens in those percentiles. It's hard to deny that. I did a scouting report on January targets. There's another physical ball progressing midfielder in that video if you guys want to go and watch that. Maybe if Wolves are still struggling by January, just saying, there's opportunities. I have no problem being a vulture for relegation fodder, but yeah, no, I hear you, man. I absolutely hear you. Yeah, Stu, awesome. Jarvis, shoulder the Jarvis chop. Yeah, I had to represent. Jarvis got even more cool points, which is I didn't think was possible. But he got more cool points for rocking the Predators, because that's pretty much what I use. Predators. Ironically, the ones behind me are not Predators, but my turf and my futsal shoes are both Predators. So there are players we can get for cheap who would be good value. Yeah, I'm always rather than spending 100 million, let's get like 330 millions. Yeah, you're speaking my language, man. Speaking my language. Rob says, I think Sir Jim will want the one more likely to be an England player. Well, there are options too, like Hayden Hackney, for instance. English, really, really good midfielder, would not cost 100 million. Now, do I think he's better than Elliot Anderson or even as good as Wharton or Anderson? Not at all. But then it becomes about financial priorities. So, Roman says, I know the last 3 game weeks all been amazing, but our defensive tactics are shocking. We have conceded 1 less goal than Liverpool. Yeah, our defending balls into the box needs to improve for sure. It just does. But we've been bad at that for years under multiple managers. And I don't know what the issue is. You'd think that with an extra center back, we'll be better, but we're not. Now, I trust it a little bit more with Senna Lamens, but when you've got Bruno at the near post and Xerxes, who's just failing to mark Lewis Dunk, there's not really much Senna Lamens can do at that point. You shouldn't have to, as a keeper, wonder if the 2 other players who are supposed to be doing the job, if they're going to be doing it well enough. So it's difficult. But yeah, set piece defending, it's just been garbage for years, and it's unfortunate. It needs to get better for sure. Let's see what we got here. Composed View, welcome back. We're getting all the oldies in the house tonight. Anderson or Ederson, which I'm definitely going Anderson. I think he's better than Ederson personally. Younger, I think if we put up his numbers, they're probably going to be better. I don't know off the top of my head, but the question is whether or not Anderson is worth 100 million as Florian Plettenberg reported earlier, 86% of you say no way. and then we asked the question: is there any player right now that you would spend 100 million on for United? I can't think of many off the top of my head. Wharton is about the closest I would get, but I still wouldn't probably go over like 75 million for Adam Wharton. But I'm cheap though. So there's that. Big up, Jules. Good to see you again, man. Hope you're doing well. I don't know why my light is so dim. Everything is on full blast. Sometimes when I do streams in the middle of the day, it's like the camera looks a little darker, but it is what it is. I'm not technical. You guys know that. Roman says at this rate, we can't ever expect to just win a game by scoring 1 or 2 goals. It's very rare these days that we're scoring multiple goals. I think that Brighton was a bit of I'm not going to say it was a flash in the pan. I'm not going to also say that it was a turning point because we don't know. But I think we look more capable now of scoring multiple goals than we have in recent years, if that makes sense. I think we've got more options, more weapons. We're not just solely like, hey, we've got Hojlund and we'll see if Rashford and Garnacho can do something. We went from Rashford and Garnacho to Mbeumo and Cunha in one summer. That gives me hope, at least. So I hope we're not looking at Branthwaite Mad Hatter. That guy has not been good in the last year. He has really not been great, dude. And isn't he injured? I don't think he's played a single minute this season, has he? It is what it is. Tycho says cod liver oil, magnesium, zinc, and selenium. My personal recipe for staying healthy all year round. Interesting. Yeah, we've got some zinc lying around. We've got some vitamin B lying around as well. Vitamin D is important in the winter. Without the sunlight, you're going to be losing a lot of that vitamin D, and that's where all your positivity, your mood, your energy comes from. A lot of people will take like things like melatonin and stuff in the winter. Do what you got to do. I think it's really just about being aware of it, recognizing blind spots or potential kind of areas where you're, at risk for that kind of stuff. But at our age, you take all the little shortcuts and need all the help you can, man. I've got like foam rollers now, Jarvis, for my leg because I had IT band issues about 10 years ago. I did my groin about 12 years ago as well. And so that will sometimes act up a little bit. But yeah, I get a foam roller now when I'm done. That's like an instant improvement on the IT band stuff. But I got like rubber bands for like mobility and for hip flexor strengthening because your hip flexors will start to get a little sore and stuff. Every little bit I can. I would love to continue to be playing for the next 10 years. I doubt it, but I would love to be able to. Not at a top level, but Jewel says, which midfielder is number one best fit? Oh, it depends. I think we need 2. It's just because it just depends on what happens with Casemiro and Bruno. Because if both of those guys go, then I would argue that both Wharton and like someone like Anderson are top priority. If Bruno leaves, then we need someone who can progress the ball from deep, like Stiller or Anderson. If Casemiro leaves, I don't trust Ugarte. Mainu's not quite physical enough, so we will need someone, I think, like a Conor Gallagher or an Elliot Anderson or like a João Gomez in midfield. 2 different types of profiles, but I would love it. You'd love it if you get a player who can do everything. I just don't know if that player exists in high quantity in football. It just depends on who stays and who goes. Some people don't want Bruno to stay. I still think we need 2 midfielders because I don't think Ugarte is quite up for it. But one of those 2 types of players, Wharton for me is probably my top priority though. Either way, because I think even with Bruno on the side, I think Wharton could also play next to him as well. I know Rob Dylan really likes Ederson at Atlanta. That was one of his picks as well. Roman's just like me. I'm cheap, man. 50, 60 max for Anderson. Wharton, I'd go for even 110. Yeah, over the course of the contract, 1 or 10 million is not going to make a difference, right? It's like buying a house. Spend another 30 grand. It's not going to mean much in the course of a mortgage. For not for everybody. For some people, it might, but I hear you. Rob says Bruno's still the center midfield next season would have a huge impact on who we go for. Yeah, we might try to see if we can just get away with Bruno for a season and then replace Casemiro, for instance, maybe with Anderson. But we'll see. I doubt if Palace keeps selling their players, if Palace sell Guehi, they sell Anderson, Glasner's going to walk away for sure. But we'll see what happens. It's not my club, so it doesn't really make that big a deal for me. So Roman says the metals are massive for hormonal balance and brain chemistry. Interesting stuff. I'm getting a little bit of medical lessons here. I like it. You should get your medical advice from YouTube. No offense. It's just funny. What do you make of this news that United have filed a complaint with the Premier League regarding the number of weekend or the away fixtures and the midweek fixtures that are home? So the argument was we have all these weekend fixtures coming up are all the way from home, and we've got the only home fixtures we have are midweek. So they're basically upset about that. I read in the 12 weeks between first week of October and Christmas, we have only one match at home on a weekend. So over 2 months and one home match on a weekend. The other ones are all midweek. Everton, Bournemouth are at home, but they're on Monday kickoff. West Ham is a Thursday kickoff at home. Now, according to some reports, Omar Barada has already spoken to the Premier League, trying to communicating United's position on that. Apparently, his argument is that there's cultural importance of match-going fans to be able to come on the weekend, not during the work week. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I don't want to know what you guys' thoughts are because I don't live in the UK, clearly, unless I've got the worst Manc accent ever. Apparently, we've also complained about fixture changes during the festive period, which I also agree with, a little bit selfishly because I'm going in festive period and I don't want any of my fixtures to be changed because I'm already cutting it close with my flight time and that Newcastle kickoff, so I don't want to miss anything. But changing things around to make room for broadcast schedules just seems weird to me. But if they screw up the matches that Dylan and I are going to, I'm going to be pissed. But what do you guys feel about that? Do you think that it's not okay that we've got so few home fixtures on the weekend? Do you care about stuff like that? We are very good at home this year. I think we are among the best in the league right now for our wins at home, which is nice. That's why one of my thoughts the other day was, is Old Trafford becoming a fortress again? Do you think that could hurt us playing so many matches away from home in the league? I want to know your thoughts. Rob says it's hard for home fans doing all those Mondays. Yeah, see, I'm not local, obviously, so that's why I'm asking if there's people who are local or people who are kind of know a little bit more about the day-to-day stuff as me. I work from home, so I have little skin in this. If I could do what I do no matter what, and if I lived in the UK and I did what I did like I'm doing now, I just wouldn't take clients on match days. I would just be like, nope, sorry, deal with it. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not really like that. Robin says, I think it's irrelevant stuff they're wasting time on. How about filing a report about how we've been done by these refs? Yeah. It's funny how Sky don't want to start walking the distance between where that foul occurred and where the free kick was taken from against Brighton, right, for Welbeck's goal. But they're happy to walk the distance of a wall when we played Arsenal last year. This is like, there's no, like, some people they don't quite, I don't know what it is. I'm so used to it now. I've just accepted it. That's why I don't like complain about it all the time. Like it just doesn't shock me that this kind of stuff happens. Like I don't need any more convincing that the media in the UK and outlets and the journalists are just flat out biased. I don't need it. I'm not going to cry conspiracy and say the refs are conspiring. Although I will say Anthony Taylor, someone needs to investigate his bank account for any major deposits because that was just insanely criminal performance from him. Jules says, I haven't seen much of Anderson at Forest, but saw a fair amount of him in Newcastle. He always looked a good prospect, very physically dominant. Yeah, he has everything that we would need. I think if you looked at his ball progression, very good. He's able to win the ball. The aerial duels are very impressive. I can put his numbers back up on the screen. Hold up. Let me put him up here for you, Jules. Hold up. So there's his numbers. You can see a lot of green. So where you're going to notice, so this is my thing. When I see high interception numbers, to me, that means you can read the game well. Now, his numbers for interceptions are not low. 50% is average, so that's fine. But the tackles, aerial duels, progressive pass, like his take-ons, like I like midfielders who can, like if I were to put up Ugarte's number, that middle portion would probably not be very green, but maybe that lower portion probably would, and that's because Ugarte just wins the ball. Not very press resistant, not maybe good on the ball, not an eye for a pass. Now, Wharton can move the ball forward. Now, his pass completion is not great. Maybe he tries to play a little too many forward passes, and that's not quite his game, and that's fine because he can win it and he can carry the ball himself, and that's just fine. But that's why I feel like someone next to him, like a Wharton, who maybe does have a little bit better passing range, would be a better fit. So I think Wharton and Anderson would be an excellent midfield duo for us. I think they complement each other very, very well. Rob says, Man United are the biggest views, so understand why the broadcaster wants that. I just don't want them to move my match. If they want to move the Newcastle match later, that's fine, but it's a 3 p.m. kickoff local time. My plane gets in at 10:30. I've got a 12 p.m. check-in at my Airbnb. It's cutting it a little close, but the Airbnb is literally 2 minutes around the corner, so I'm not too worried. But if they make it any sooner and there's any delays on my flight, I'm going to be livid. Change the Wolves when I want. I'll be there for Wolves. Like I said, I admitted it's selfish on my part, but it's just where I'm at. Composeview says he'd restructure Casemiro's contract to reduce his pay significantly, keep him for another year, and get Wharton as an understudy. Meanwhile, am I the only one who thinks he can play Bruno's position? Wharton? Yeah, if we sign Wharton, it'd probably be because Bruno's gone. And I think Bruno, again, he's a Carrick. He's a Carrick like regen, but that's why I want someone next to him, because Wharton's not the quickest. He's just not. He can read the game well. He has good positioning like Carrick, but Carrick wasn't the quickest. Wharton's not the quickest. He's like a Busquets in that regard. That's why I want someone next to him like a Gallagher, like an Anderson, who's a little quicker, who gets about a little bit more and does a lot of that dirty work a little bit. So, Jules, my graphics, thank you. I do it all in Google Slides, man. But I appreciate that. I try to make it look visually appealing. I could do, like, when I had to do a scouting report for my my PFSA talent identification course, they don't look very interesting. They're pretty boring. They look like you just wrote it on the program they use. It just looks like a normal boring PDF. I try to remember this is YouTube, so people probably want a little bit more to it. But I appreciate that, Jules, as always. Thank you, my friend. Rob says we got Keane from Forest, and they've been relegated. Yeah, I have no problem with getting players from relegated sides. I did a video last season looking at Ipswich Town, Southampton, and Leicester, and picking a couple players from each one. Like, I have no problem poaching that. So Roman says the eye test is the most important thing for press resistance. I think the eye test can tell you what sort of like technique a player has, like, because I can look at a number and say, oh, they can read interceptions, or they have successful take-ons. But that doesn't tell me if that player is just like physical, fast, or if they have the ability to bit of techers, drop of the shoulder, that kind of stuff. Because if you look at like Cobby's got techers, he doesn't have a whole lot of physicality. So that's where the eye test will come in. I'm always a believer that it's never eye test or numbers. They work together. They give you a complete picture. It's like coloring book. One is the shape, the outline, and the other is the color. You have to have them both to work together. I'm never going to get into an argument about eye test versus stats. They work together, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I do think that an eye test will tell you what kind of player they are. Numbers will tell you if they're actually good. Because Jack Grealish eye test probably looks great. If you look at the numbers, probably not good. So it can be misleading, both and. So I'd rather have a player who statistically looks good than a player who looks good but doesn't really do anything. Because cool, you're out here doing like step overs and rainbows, but are you doing anything with it? Probably not. So Rob says Wolves. That's a nice fixture. My last match. Yeah, we got Wolves, we got Newcastle, and then we're heading over to Salford as well. So you're probably thinking about Stiller, Roman. He plays for Stuttgart. Yeah, you found it. So yeah, those are Elliot Anderson's numbers, in case anyone's wondering. I know somebody hadn't seen a lot of them, but we put that up here earlier. I'll take him off of here for you guys. Little odds and ends. Apparently, Brendan Rodgers has left Celtic. Don't know if you guys saw that. The last time he left a club, I think when he left Celtic, wasn't it to take a job in the Premier League? Who knows? Maybe he could go to Wolves. Maybe he can go to Forest. Forest are always looking for a new manager these days, it seems. Who knows how long Sean Dyche will be here? Let's hope that we can contribute to the expedition of his sacking. But I've seen Kieran McKenna has been linked to the Celtic job. Is that a good move for Kieran McKenna? I don't know. And hey, look at that. The Telegraph has named Bryan Mbeumo as the best summer signing in the Premier League. I think he was also voted Premier League Player of the Week this week, Bryan Mbeumo. So big up. You guys can go get your Mbeumo shirts in the United vs. Everybody store, along with your Cunha shirts if you'd like as well. They're both in there to celebrate this weekend. Didn't Maguire get Player of the Week last week? So that's 2 United players, 2 consecutive weeks, 2 Premier League Player of the Weeks. 21 is coming. I'm just joking. But am I though? We'll see. But on Mbumo getting that, I mean, the more I watch that dummy from Bruno for Mbumo's second goal on Saturday, the silkier it looks. It's one of my big S's of playing in midfield. Scan. Bruno just scans and then knows exactly from that moment on. He's already got a picture. He's already got a plan, and it set in motion. It was perfect. Such a good goal. I loved everything about that. So um, we will. It's Dylan's first trip over there. This will be my fourth time going. You guys know I go every year, so it'll be my fourth time going, and I love it. I have a blast. I'm always on the lookout too for new restaurants because I do like food. I found a couple more new ones. If anybody has any good recommendations for Manchester restaurants, you can leave a comment because I'm always on the lookout for good food. I like to stay close to the stadium because I know it's a bit of a nightmare trying to get there on match day. So I'd rather just be in a place where I can walk and then go take a tram elsewhere during the week when I need to. Dylan has never, like I said, never been, so we'll probably do a stadium tour so he can go check that out as well. I've done that 3 times. It's pretty cool. They let you go sit in the dugout and stuff and go to the dressing room. Opinion on Stiller. I think Stiller would probably do better with someone like Stiller is very similar to Wharton. I think he would do better with someone like an Anderson next to him. He is a little bit more of a deep line playmaker. So for me, it would be Wharton, Stiller on one side, and like Anderson and Gallagher on another side. Like that kind of combination would be the way I do. So Jules says the Celtic job is not a good choice for McKenna. High risk of getting sacked because unless they win the league, yeah, I think McKenna could be ready for like the step up to like a West Ham or something. Personally, I think West Ham could suit him very well. Maybe Wolves could suit him very. I don't know. I think he's ready for a step up to maybe a lower table side in the Premier League, but maybe like a Fulham if Marco Silva leaves as well could be a good fit for him. Everton, I think he'd do really really good. So Rob says avoid. Yeah, Piccadilly. Like got a lot of homeless people in Manchester, and that's not me judging. I've just noticed that. But yeah, Piccadilly. I think it sounds like it's a place that used to be good. I've never really spent a lot of time in there. Now, Justin and I did go check out like they have like these outdoor food things. We did that a couple times. That was pretty cool. But Jules says a food court. The Lowry has some fast food stuff for match day. Better option than burger vans. There is this one lady. I forget her name. She sets up her cart across the street from the Bishop Blaze. Justin and I always make sure we go because the first time we went, our first match was Real Betis in Europa League. She was super nice. We sat there, we talked to her probably for a good half hour. She was awesome. So I always make a point to show appreciation to people like that, especially when we're from out of town. So I always make sure that I go back there and get burger and some chips from her because she was awesome. So I always do that. But the one place we always go to is the ethnic food place in the mall, the Arndale. There's this Vietnamese cart this stall that does these duck burgers made to order. The best thing I've ever eaten. Besides, I had my first Wagyu this weekend, and Wagyu has ruined all their steaks for me. By the way, I'll never get a steak again unless it's a Wagyu. So that either means I'm going to be spending a lot of money, or I'm never going to eat steak ever again. But I can't go back to not Wagyu now. It's Bill, you've ruined me, bro. Sorry. But yeah, anytime you guys have any recommendations, love it. Rob says I love Hearts to win in Scotland to change. Yeah. Didn't we have a player? Demi Mitchell was at Hearts for a hot second. So I'm going to wrap it up there, you guys. Thank you for sticking with me and let me kind of endeavor through this sore throat. I'm going to go get some more Dayquil, probably take a nap. But that was your news for the day. A lot of interesting stuff in there. You guys, if you weren't able to catch the live, go leave a comment. Would you pay $100 million for Wharton? What do you think he's worth? Is there any player you would pay $100 million for? What do you think should be our priorities in the summer? All that fun stuff. We got it all talking about today. We're linked with a couple of new teenagers as well. So let me know your thoughts. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check those memberships if you guys want to get more involved in the content we put out on the channel, including the WhatsApp group as well. Got some new members today, so I appreciate that too. And see you guys on the next one. I'm really struggling right now. So keep a lookout this week. Preview for Forest, maybe a scouting report as well. It depends on just how much energy I have. So definitely do the preview though. Probably no kickabout tomorrow. Just heads up because I just don't know if I'm going to be up for it. So until next time, you guys, take it easy. Really good chatting with you guys today. Really good discussion. Some new faces, some old favorites. Appreciate that, you guys. And please go hype some videos, some of the old streams on your phone if you get a chance, because it does help the channel out. So Take it easy, everyone. I will talk to you later. Peace.